Sunday, thanks so much for coming on to the Creative Kind podcast. It's a pleasure. You're someone that I've wanted to speak with for a while because the work you do is super unique in the space that you occupy, and the message that you deliver is often very powerful. It's filled with emotion and it's filled with character, and you can tell it's coming from the heart. And so for people who maybe are less familiar with you, do you want to just give yourself a quick introduction?
Yeah, totally. First of all, let me just say that really excited to be here today. I would just want to say I'm forever thankful for this opportunity. I try to say every opportunity is going to be, it's a new experience and it's a wonderful one. So again, thank you. Yeah, like you're saying, again, my name's Sunday. I don't like to call myself like an artist. I kind of just like calling myself a writer at the end of the day, and I kind of just speak what I write. Um, So I've been doing this for, how many years has it been? I want to say 5 years. 5 years. I started in high school and I started actually giving public speeches um, in front of my school. And they were just thoughts I had, honestly, things I've written down that I honestly didn't even think that people would care to listen. But the very first speech, it was received very, very well. And after that, I kept writing and writing and writing, and the opportunities just kept spiraling. So from then, I kind of took this as like my gift, my passion, and it's kind of become what I do. So essentially, as you were saying, like all my pieces, they're things I've gone through, they're things I've experienced, they're conversations I've had, they're life lessons at the end of the day. And I try to spin them in a way that would reflect how people think, you know, because at the end of the day, you're with your own thoughts. And what you hear when it comes to me is just my thoughts, hopefully that they resonate with you, you know. Um, it's kind of become my passion, you know, and many people think that my passion has to do with like my speeches or what I write. And every time someone really tells me that, I have the same answer essentially. I tell them that my passion isn't in speaking, it isn't in filming, and quite frankly, it isn't even in writing. I don't do what I do because I love speaking. I don't do it because I love writing. I do what I do because I feel like it's right. I'm blessed enough to have found what my gift could be, and that is speaking. And I use that to manipulate my passion in a way that spreads positivity. And as cliche as I can make that sound, but at the end of the day, all I do is take what I see as a negative thought and a negative aspect of my life or just life in general, and I try to turn it into a positive. So that's me in a nutshell. Hopefully, I didn't ramble on too long, but yeah.
No, that was awesome. I appreciate you giving that insight. And right off the bat, it has me thinking. And I guess I want to kind of take things back and learn a little bit more about like you when you were in high school, and you
Mhm.
say that that was kind of the time when you really started to get into it. What did you find was, say, a catalyst for you? And then on that, why do you think that from high school to now it's still something you're passionate about? Because that to me shows that you've been dedicated to this, and a lot of people in our climate today, especially younger people, find that very hard to say be so committed to a passion for long. They're always shifting, especially at a young age, right? You don't know what you want,
Mhm.
you don't know what you like. So yeah, so what was the catalyst, I guess, first for you, and what have you found has been kind of like your guiding light to stay committed to this?
I actually remember this day so specifically and so vividly. So, me in high school, for the first couple years, I can be open when I say these things. Like, I'm gonna delve into my past a little. Um, I was in a couple dark places in high school. They weren't the best mentally, but I worked through them, so I'm good with that end. But during high school, again, I struggled a lot with like my thoughts and like my mental health and all these things, and that's like a normal thing that people go through. It's nothing too deep. But I think the catalyst for me was one night I was scrolling through Facebook and I came across a speech by he's a really famous public speaker. His name is Prince EA. He's a YouTuber. He writes a lot of, and he wrote a speech that basically described to a T what I was feeling. And I remember listening to it and I was so beyond shocked that someone's words could just hit me so deeply in the heart and essentially help me think through my problems. It was such a powerful video. I can That's all I can say. Such a powerful video. So much to a fact that I would I would listen to it every single day. And at some point I could find that I memorized it and I could repeat it without even listening to it. And so after that, I started writing something similar to that. And I found that in writing my own thoughts, getting it into a tangible, realistic thing, it helped. It helped me. It helped me personally. Writing is an outlet. Again, as cliche as that can sound. And after that, after reading it to myself so long, I'm like, okay, maybe I can speak this. Maybe if I said this to someone, maybe it could help them. I was honestly trying to imitate Prince EA. And I found I said it to one person, they loved it. Said it to two, they loved it. 10, they loved it. So I just thought, let's jump in the deep end. Let's see if we can say this in front of a crowd of 500. And it was like a split decision, and I don't regret it to this day. Not at all. And the reason why I stuck with it is because I found that after every single speech, there was always one person who came up to me, or there was one story that I heard that they said, "Hey, Sunday, this helped me a lot. Thank you." And it was that's what kept me, that's what keeps me in it. That's all. It's not because, again, like, it's not because it's my passion. Like, it's just to spread positivity. And it's that one person that says, "You helped me." And that means the world to me. And because I can do that, because I feel as if this is something I need to do, that I'm gifted enough to do, that I won't ever stop. I won't. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. And it's funny, I actually saw Prince EA's recently. I was watching this video and it referred to like a really successful video he made that was like focused on the environment.
Mm,
And it refers to building, it was all about like marketing. It was like a marketing workshop and it was all about different types of hooks. And Prince EA's hook is his character. And
mm,
listening to him, watching him, and they played like a short sample from it. I was like, oh yeah, I was like, for sure, this guy has, quite the character. Even
mm,
just now, I looked it up. So yeah, I can definitely see how you've taken inspiration from that, and I'm sure from other of your lived experiences, as you kind of mentioned. Um, and then, so like on that note, and kind of thinking of from the past and how this is something that's very true to yourself, where do you see yourself within 5 years, staying on this path of doing kind of speech poetry?
mm. Um, in 5 years, I have a bunch of goals for myself, and I told myself in the next decade that I'm gonna be performing in front of massive audiences, helping massive amounts of people on a large scale. In the future, the way I see this going is that I can reach large amounts of people with what I do. However way that looks, if it has to be online, if it's in person, if whatever way it is, in 5 years, all I want to be able to do is say, I what I do for a living is help people, massive amounts of people, you know. And that's what I've kind of started getting the ball moving down. You know, I'm starting small, obviously, uploading my things online, and it's gaining traction. So in the next couple years, hopefully, I get to the goal that I wish to be at, and and that's being a positive light for a bunch of people. Yeah.
So when we talk about goals,
Mhm.
what have you found has been a successful strategy to reach your goals? Do you try to reverse engineer them? You know, how do you find that goal, and what are strategies in place that you've say, internalized that in the past have helped you been able to achieve your milestones and your goals to where you are now?
So I found that goals in life, like life goals in general, they're easy once you get the right strategy. So I can't really answer that by saying there's only one, because you know, there's no one answer to life, I find. So I find like if you have a goal saying, "Oh, I want to help people," there are literally a million different ways you can go about that, which is my goal, and there are so many ways to go about it. I find that the one thing that keeps me getting to all my goals that I want is at the end of the day, trying. That's all. That's literally all you could do. You could try one strategy, it doesn't work. Okay, great. What else could I do? It doesn't work. Okay, great. What else could I do? But it's the nonstop getting the ball moving and trying. Because I find that a lot of people will try one strategy, say they'll try to do one different thing, like, oh, I'll try to work out. It doesn't work out. Okay, I'm just done, you know. And it's whatever it is, whatever. I want to eat better, I want to work out, I want to be a better person. All these things are such massive aspects of life that don't take one different strategy. So for me, it's having the drive and the passion to just attempt. And it's in the attempt that I know one of these methods is gonna get me to my goal. Trying and patience is how I know every single thing in my life is just gonna fall into place. But I can't let those things vary, because once they vary, then I won't get my goal.
Well, it's an interesting point you make, right? Like, do things fall in place in life, or do you guide them to the place where they're supposed to be, right? Because I think sometimes people, like, there's a reason we say, things happen for a reason, right? Or things like this. And I don't know, this is maybe getting a little too much into determinism, but like, I would say sometimes things don't fall into place and that you make those things. And so for me, like, I remember it's just like when I was working as a music journalist, say I met somebody, did an interview with an artist. And, after I'd have brought my painting, I've got a painting signed of this artist. And they'd be like, man, like, you met that guy? Like, dude, you're so lucky. Like, you're so lucky you got to meet them. And I'm always reflected on it because it was the number one reaction people said. And it's like, it's not really luck. Like,
Mhm.
like, there's a lot of back and
Mhm.
forth emails. There's a lot of persistence setting this up. I painted this. I did all this. This is part of my brain. This is part of my greater strategy. Right. And so, yeah, I just kind of maybe want to ask about that is, how do you see the difference between, I guess it really stems to a question of what is your locus of control? Where do you kind of find that inner control? Because things won't often go your way, right? But I can see you and hear from you that you're a very, determined person. So how do you maintain that determination when life gets in the way to push, past these obstacles and to realize your goals when you won't always have control and things will fall the way that they do?
Oh, that is a question I battle with every single day. It's the variable between, hey, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or am I forcing something that will never be? You know. And the example you gave is such a stark example of it. People think that, oh, it was just luck. This fell into place. It's just the way life goes. But in reality, you worked for it. You starved for it. You built that. You know. And I think at the end of the day, it's finding the place in between, that little gray area in between, where you're forcing what you want out of life, but you're not doing something that you know you have no control over. Because at the end of the day, you can control life as much as you want, but life is going to control you back. You can be like, hey, I want to go to this school. You could work your butt off for all of high school, get to that school, and then life says, hey, your dad's losing your job. You have no money, right? Even though you control to get there, life says, okay, my turn. It's the little gray area, you know. And I feel as if people are focused on the fact that life gives you life says no sometimes. Actually, life says no very often. And it's such a discouraging thing for many people. For myself entirely. I've been told no so many different times when it comes to writing, when it comes to doing my speeches. Honestly, half the no's have come from myself. They've and the thing is, it's knowing for me personally, for me, it's knowing that, hey, I'm doing something right. This makes me happy. If life wants to make it difficult, okay, life bring it on. I'm ready for it. I'm gonna work for it, and it's not gonna be luck. Because sometimes when you're doing what's right, sometimes when you're doing your passion, when you're doing and you're invoking all these things out of life, life says, let's make it difficult. There's this thing called, I don't know if you heard about it. It's called Murphy's Law. Essentially, it says anything in life that can happen will happen. It will most likely happen. You know, and that goes for the good, and that goes for the bad. And for me, I feel as if the second I started down this path, the second I started doing something I know is going to benefit me, Murphy's Law says, hey, okay, game time. If you want this so much, let's see you work for it. And that's the philosophy I kind of get when it comes to battling between the two. Am I forcing this or am I doing what's right? It's finding that little gray area. And I can't give one definitive answer because, like I said before, there's no definitive answer to life. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like that. It's that little gray area where,
Mm,
that's where the magic happens, so to
exactly.
speak. Yeah. Uh, so the next thing I wanted to ask you about is some of the videos, some of your more recent
Mhm.
work. You cover everything from friendship, you know, from brain capacity to
Mm.
issues around race and discrimination and representation to just literally, the love and everything in between, right?
All
So
over the board.
all over the board, but it's
Mm.
good because a lot of your videos, even the ones where it's like, how are you, they're actually like quite deep and quite thoughtful in the rhetoric. So what what's your what's your vision in terms of how you think of what that next topic? Some things are probably timely, other things I'm sure are maybe just some personal reflections you've had that feel need to be expressed. What kind of guides you to that next video or that next topic?
Every single, I know finding the when you say that, I realize that, yeah, I am all over the board when it comes to the topics I talk about. But it's fun. It's fun, and I love talking about every single thing that intrigues my brain. Um, my thought process in deciding what I'm going to talk about or when I'm going to talk about it is honestly not my decision. Um, when it comes to if I write a speech about love, you know, it just so happened that week I was going through issues with love. If I'm writing a speech about how are you, I was struggling with mental health. If I'm writing a speech about brain capacity, I probably saw a movie talking about brain capacity. The inspiration for these things come in such random locations, such random times, and they're unplanned. You know, and sometimes three ideas come in one week. Sometimes zero ideas come in one week. I find that I try to pay attention to some of the smaller things in life, and then I make them a big deal. Like the one speech I put, um, it's called "Put a Filter On." It was in it. I was having a conversation with the girl in the video, and she said such she has such an incredible mindset at the end of the day. And sometimes these ideas come from other people. You know, a brief little thing they mentioned in a conversation that was probably meaningless, but to me it meant the world. It could mean the world. So I don't really plan what I'm gonna talk about. I kind of just let life tell me, hey, talk about this. You're thinking this, talk about it, you know. So like whenever I write a speech or write something, it's always like I said, what I'm going through or what I'm thinking. And my thoughts are all over the place. Which kind of shows to why all my speeches are all over the place. Yeah.
Do you have a personal favorite?
Oh, I do. I do. Um, it's love. That one is my favorite because I attached it to somebody. I don't know if they're gonna hear this, but they probably know. If they do, they're probably gonna know. But yeah, that one I attached to the one person, and it's become my favorite. That and then again, put a filter on because she is such an awesome person. It's not her, by the way. Just thought if that connection was being made, it's
Yeah,
not
you
her.
don't want people to connect those two
I want
dots.
people to know
Gotcha.
that. Yeah.
I haven't heard Put a Filter on yet. I saw that came out a
Hmm.
week ago, so I'll definitely check that out after this and include the link in the
Thank
blog
you.
post. That's awesome, though. Yeah, I have heard Love. It's an emotional one. It's a really profound speech, and so kind of kind of close to wrapping things up here. Um, but I want to ask next from so those are your favorite ones, but is there one that you feel is kind of like your biggest that this to you was the biggest accomplishment or was maybe one that you're most proud of to have put out there? and
Yeah.
and
Oh,
just
sorry.
follow up to that, yeah, and then maybe even then maybe it was a time in the past where you presented it, so maybe if you have a favorite speech and maybe if you have a favorite memory of where you presented, I'd be interested to know that too.
Okay, so the first question, the first, the one that will forever stick with me and forever be in my heart is actually not posted on my Instagram. It's actually posted on my Facebook. It's called A Real Friend. That's the very first one I ever did, and not the one I ever first one I ever wrote. It's the first one I ever produced with a friend, and we made it, and I wrote it. I included all of my life friends in it. They have a bunch of shots in it, and it was just such a overwhelming response to how many people loved the speech and how many people came up to me and like messaged me and said, hey, I love this, hey, this was incredible, like keep going. That was the first one, will always stick with me because that's the one I used to get the ball rolling. That's the one I used to start saying, hey, I'm doing this socially. I'm going to do this on a large platform. So the first one, called A Real Friend, will forever, forever, forever stick with me. And the one speech that stuck with me, that is a question. I've given a lot. Oh, it was in high school. It was my last high school speech that I ever gave in person. It was actually my valedictorian speech. Um, it was it was a real emotional one because I had never thought that I'd be in that position ever. Like grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. I had never thought that I would be able to change my life around with speaking, with writing, with doing all these things. And my mom was there and she was so proud of me. And it was just such a moment for me saying that, hey, Sunday, life is what you make of it. Life is you can get out of life whatever you want. And I still have it to this day. It's printed off and it's like hanging in my room in the back. I don't know if you can notice that on the wall. That's it's a scroll that they gave me that they printed my speech out of. And so I read it every once in a while to know that that is that is where my life can go if I want it to be, you know. What I write, I can bring into reality and performing it. And again, it was just such a heartwarming and big thing for me personally. It wasn't the biggest crowd, wasn't the biggest thing, but the biggest to me. Yeah.
That's very sweet, man.
Thank you.
It's nice to hear. And yeah, it's funny, right? Like sometimes it's the ones that aren't, the biggest splash that mean the most.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can definitely relate to that. So what do you have coming up? Like what's kind of the next project? How do you see, I guess, coming back to the idea of goals, do you have several things that you're working on right now, several, scripts that you've been writing? Or are you, maybe trying to take a time out? How does that look? I mean, I guess you've been posting pretty frequently though in the past few weeks.
I have, yeah. I've kind of set a goal to myself that I'm going to post once every week, and I've made it. I post every Sunday, just to play on my name. But um, yeah, I'm actually working on. I don't without like spoiling it. I might take a few weeks off posting because I really want to work on the one really big one that I have coming up. It's not gonna be me talking about any topic in particular. It's going to be me talking about myself. It's going to be really me opening up about what I've gone through, why I do what I do. And it's just going to be a look about myself. I don't know what I'm going to entitle it, but it's going to be basically a tribute because I'm going to probably post it on my birthday, which is coming up in a couple weeks. And it's kind of going to be a tribute to
When's your birthday?
November 29th. It's on a Sunday. Yeah. I'm going to post it's gonna be more about myself, you know, what I sorry, what I go through and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'm definitely gonna film it. It's not just gonna be an audio, it's gonna be a visual too. And so I'm really excited about that one. And yeah, that's the really big project I got working on right now.
That's very cool. I look forward to hearing that,
Thank you.
and yeah, seeing what else you kind of come up with. And then I guess if people want to connect with you, where can they do that? Where can they find you? Whether it's social, you know, just to hear, your speeches themselves. What's the best way?
The best way to hear them and connect with them would probably be on my Instagram. So I have it's called at speaker.sunday. I also have a Facebook, I have a YouTube, but then again, people don't really use Facebook, and YouTube is YouTube is YouTube. But Instagram, I feel like is the easiest way to contact me, easiest way to see all my speeches because they all go up there first. But yeah, honestly, if anything, if you don't want to connect with me just for my speeches, connect with me just because like to talk. I love making friends. I love meeting people and getting new mindsets. And who knows, you may be included in one of my speeches, depending on whatever you say. Yeah. Um, so yeah, speaker.sunday, and I am everywhere essentially. Mhm.
Perfect. Just gave you a follow. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Yeah.
Check that right now.
yeah, yeah. No rush, no rush.
Mhm.
Um, awesome Sunday. And so I always like to give this just kind of as a last chance. But yeah, is there anything that you say wanted, you were thinking of that you wanted to chat about with me that didn't get brought up, but maybe it was something that you just wanted to chat about as kind of like final question.
Yeah, I don't know if we could talk about this like after or something like that, but I was actually more curious on how you started, how you got to where you are. I know you asked me that question, but I like because you're also a creative person, and I love hearing how other people have started, how they've maintained that, and how they're going about it. So yeah, that's my question. I just wanted to get like your quick, hey, this is how I started. This is what I'm doing. This is how I got here.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It's a good question. And yeah,
mhm.
we definitely have time.
Yeah.
Just we may yeah, I guess we may get kicked off in 8 minutes, but that's okay. But
Mhm.
that's more than enough time. Yeah, so for me, uh from London, studied communications cultural studies for my undergrad. Um, that kind of helped steer me in the path towards doing more media related work. At this point now, I have the company AL Media, where I primarily create video content and paint murals for
Mm,
small to medium-sized businesses, as well as work with nonprofits to really help amplify their story and their cause.
mm,
The podcast is something that had been on my mind for many years. It took about a year before I actually launched it, because I just spoke with people. I just literally called people, went, did like a free hour workshop here, and there. It's just different people's, pro tips for podcasting or whatever. Just like tried to absorb as much as I could. And then like COVID happened, and I was like, perfect opportunity.
mm,
This is the time. It was already
mm,
time at that point,
mm.
honestly. But yeah, it was just the perfect storm to get started. And you are episode 26, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was coming out real hot at the beginning every week. Now I've kind of dialed it back just because my business is picking up, and I'd rather take the time to make sure that I'm putting 100% into each episode than try and rush each episode out. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like, I'd
mm,
rather take the time and build the collateral and do a good job with each episode than rush it out for the sake of having a weekly show.
mhm,
Because I think that I will see better results, and I will just be like less stressed, because I don't think anyone's waiting. You know what I mean? Like, the show is still so much in its infancy that like it doesn't matter, right? The people who are gonna listen are still gonna listen. No one's not gonna listen, because the people that are listening are within my immediate circle for the most part. And then through each guest, their own immediate circles, which, I will snowball and grow an audience from all those immediate circles from the guests who I have on.
mhm,
Right. So that's kind of how I got to where I am now. Um, and now it's just about honestly having fun and speaking with cool people and learning from them. Um, and what I found is, as it grows, the requests that I get now are from people who are like big wigs, you know.
wow.
I'm getting like CEOs who are like sending their PR people to come on my show. And it's just
Wow.
and it's like you don't even know my numbers. You know nothing. You just see
Yeah.
the show and you see me consistently post about it on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, that it gives the facade of being a bigger deal than it actually is. You
Mhm.
know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I find that that's been an interesting reverse. And then right now, I'm actually in communication to plan my first sponsor for the show, which is super exciting.
Wow. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that. And that's actually pretty cool. So